Since 2009, more people around the world have been living in cities rather than rural areas. Cities play a vital role in economic, political, and cultural activities. Global cities, especially, are crucial in the international economy by offering specialized services like finance and serving as hubs for innovation. Countries with more global cities can benefit more from the global flow of money and skilled individuals. With China's rapid development, cities like Beijing and Shanghai have gained international influence, and newer ones like Shenzhen are becoming important players in global commerce. And recently, the megacity of Chongqing has received a lot of attention on social media due to how the city was designed, and some people even call Chongqing the most cyberpunk city. In this video, we'll explore the emergence of China's megacities, examining their transformation through global innovation and delving into the challenges they currently confront. Before we delve into these fascinating insights, we invite you to subscribe to our channel for a continuous stream of compelling videos similar to this one. The rise of China's megacities. The implementation of Chinese economic reforms in the late 1970s created new job opportunities, triggering a mass migration from rural areas to urban centers. In 1979, only 18.6% of the Chinese population lived in urban areas. By 2011, a historic shift occurred, with more than half of all Chinese citizens residing in cities, and by 2020, the urbanization rate in China had reached 61.4%. In recent decades, the global influence of Chinese cities has markedly increased. Given that countries with larger populations tend to have more urban centers, it comes as no surprise that the most populous nations, China, India, and the US, possess the highest number of global cities. The Global Cities Index by international consultancy Kearney annually assesses cities worldwide. In the 2020 GCI by Kearney, 18 Chinese cities secured positions among the top 125 global cities. The US followed closely with 14 cities, while India ranked third with 7. The ascendancy of Chinese cities on the global stage is largely attributed to their significant levels of business activity. Notably, over 43% of the 124 Chinese companies listed in the 2020 Fortune Global 500 have their headquarters in Beijing. Shanghai and Shenzhen each house an additional 7% of Chinese Fortune Global 500 companies. Furthermore, Shanghai and Hong Kong hold prominent positions in global sea and air freight, with Hong Kong leading the world in initial public offering proceedings, a substantial portion of which involve mainland Chinese companies. Beyond the realm of major urban centers, lesser-known cities like Shenzhen, Guangzhou, Hangzhou, Ningbo, and Suzhou have experienced substantial growth in their global influence, owing to their pivotal roles in both the Chinese and global markets. In contrast, India, despite its remarkable economic growth over the past few decades and a population roughly equivalent to China's, has witnessed a more restrained emergence of new global cities. Moreover, there has been a general decline in their rankings from 2015 to 2020, with New Delhi standing out as the exception, showing a marginal improvement from 57 in 2015 to 56 in 2020. While the premier Chinese global cities draw substantial business activities, they fall behind in terms of political engagement compared to counterparts in North America and Europe. Chinese cities host fewer influential international organizations than cities like Washington, where the World Bank and International Monetary Fund reside, Brussels, the headquarters of the European Union and NATO, Geneva, the location of the World Health Organization and World Trade Organization, and New York, the home of the United Nations. The potential shift of the international political center of gravity towards Beijing may occur as China establishes more international institutions, such as the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank and the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. However, at present, the dominance of the US and Europe remains unchallenged. China's urban transformation, from economic powerhouses to global innovation centers. Historically, cities like Beijing and Shanghai have held prominence, but deliberate government policies have fueled the growth of cities such as Shenzhen. In the late 1970s, as economic reforms took root, the Chinese government designated 4 areas, Shenzhen, Zhuhai, Shantou, and Xiamen, as special economic zones known as SAEZ. These zones were allowed to experiment with economic policies not permitted elsewhere in China, like accepting foreign direct investment and relaxing price controls. Over time, more coastal areas were granted SEZ status, and by 2019, China had established 2,543 SEZs, accounting for nearly half of all SEZs in the world at 47.2%. In stark contrast, India only has 373 special economic zones. While China's cities were historically manufacturing hubs for low-cost goods, recent years have witnessed a shift as their industrial capabilities expanded. Many Chinese cities now host manufacturers of advanced products, such as electronics and petrochemicals. Shenzhen's high-tech industrial park, for instance, houses major Chinese tech giants, earning the city the moniker China's Silicon Valley. Since the late 1990s, both the central and municipal governments have actively wooed multinational corporations to increase their presence in Chinese cities. They introduced incentives like reduced taxes, rent subsidies, and preferential policies for employees of large international corporations willing to establish regional headquarters and offices in mainland China. While Hong Kong and Singapore remain popular for managing Asia-Pacific businesses, mainland Chinese cities have become attractive options. As of March 2020, Shanghai alone housed 730 regional headquarters of foreign companies, including Ford, GE, and Kraft. In Beijing, PricewaterhouseCoopers and Volkswagen established regional headquarters. Notably, IBM relocated its global procurement headquarters to Shenzhen in 2006, and Google opened its third China office there in 2018. This influx of business activity has significantly boosted the economic size of Chinese cities. In 2019, Shanghai's gross regional product, or GRP, was $552.3 billion, slightly surpassing the entire GDP of Thailand. Similarly, Beijing's GRP reached $512 billion, making it nearly as large as Belgium's economy. Shenzhen, with a GRP of $389.8 billion, Hong Kong $365.7 billion, and Guangzhou $342.1 billion, rounded out the top 5 largest cities in China by economic output. However, even with their immense economic scale, China's largest cities are still overshadowed by a few others, such as the New York City metropolitan area, with a GRP exceeding $1.86 trillion in 2019, slightly larger than Brazil, the world's 9th largest economy. Beyond economic prowess, Chinese cities are emerging as global leaders in science and technology innovation. According to the 2020 Global Innovation Index, which ranks city clusters based on patents and scientific publications, 2 of the world's top 5 science and technology innovation clusters are in China. In these rankings, China's Shenzhen-Hong Kong-Guangzhou cluster comes second, trailing only Japan's Tokyo-Yokohama cluster and surpassing Seoul, South Korea. Meanwhile, Beijing ranks 4th, outperforming the San Jose-San Francisco area in the US and the Osaka-Kobe-Kyoto region in Japan. Research and development, the backbone of innovation, are highly concentrated in a few cities in China. In 2019, just 3 cities, Beijing, Shanghai and Shenzhen accounted for 23% of China's total spending on R&D. These cities also exhibit higher levels of R&D intensity, with Beijing's R&D intensity at 6.31% of GRP, nearly 3 times the national average of 2.23%. Shenzhen's R&D intensity was more than twice the national average, and Shanghai's was about 1.8 times the national average. Unsurprisingly, China's top cities are home to the majority of the country's higher education institutions, contributing over 7% of the country's total R&D. In the 2020 Times Higher Education Rankings, 12 of the top 50 Chinese universities are located in Beijing, with several more in Nanjing with 7 universities, Shanghai with 5 universities, and Wuhan with 4 universities. These universities play a crucial role in training China's top students, many of whom pursue careers in science and engineering. They also attract a significant number of international students, with Beijing and Shanghai alone hosting approximately 28.8% of the 492,185 foreign students studying in China in 2018, according to China's Ministry of Education. Challenges and strategies in China's urban evolution. Despite the increasing influence of China's major cities on the global stage, they face intense competition. The rapid urbanization experienced by these key cities has given rise to numerous social and environmental challenges. Furthermore, recent global economic and geopolitical shifts pose potential threats to the competitiveness of Chinese cities. The prolonged trade tensions between the US and China have prompted a survey conducted by the American Chamber of Commerce in Shanghai in May 2019, revealing that 33.2% of US companies were contemplating canceling or delaying investments. Additionally, 39.7% of respondents were considering relocating manufacturing facilities out of China or had already done so. The potential movement of US supply chains away from China and the broader economic decoupling could significantly impact the international influence and economic competitiveness of Chinese cities. Rapid population growth has contributed to the growing pains experienced by Chinese cities. Between 1990 and 2015, 3 of the world's fastest-growing large cities with populations exceeding 10 million were in China, with Shenzhen experiencing a staggering 1,200% population increase. Although population growth has slowed in recent years, Chongqing remained the world's 5th fastest-growing large city from 2015 to 2020. The challenges stemming from rapid urbanization include high property prices and living costs due to increased population density. For instance, home prices in Shanghai and Beijing were 15 to 20 times the average household income in 2018, compared to 9.2 in San Francisco and 5.4 in New York City in 2017. Steep increases in home prices, resource usage, and pollution emissions are also notable consequences. To address these issues and promote more balanced urban development, the Chinese central government has implemented various measures. Population caps have been imposed on China's 2 most populous cities, Shanghai and Beijing, at 25 million and 23 million people, respectively. The concept of city clusters has been embraced with the 13th Five-Year Plan, advocating for the establishment of 19 city clusters. Each cluster comprises a central hub, surrounded by smaller satellite cities. Notable clusters include the southern Pearl River Delta, the eastern Yangtze River Delta, and the northern Jing-Jin-Ji metropolitan region. Collectively, these 19 city clusters are expected to host 90% of future Chinese economic activities. In conclusion, the rapid economic ascent of China has given rise to numerous megacities, propelling swift urbanization in recent decades. Presently, China faces the imperative task of transforming these megacities to address social challenges and manage issues associated with overpopulation. What are your thoughts on whether China can successfully transition its cities to be more sustainable, environmentally friendly, and enhance the overall quality of life for its residents? Share your insights by leaving comments below. Before you depart, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for a continuous supply of captivating videos covering events and developments across Asia.